The world of dating is a complex one for many. I mean, there is no shortage of videos on YouTube complaining about the state of modern dating or the intricacies of dating a particular group of people or not. Well, today we're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into the concept of dating from the autism side. But not just the autism side, we're going to be watching a video from Elena Carroll, who's a relatively new, smaller YouTuber, and it is called Dating as an Autistic Female. I am not an autistic female, but I would be interested to know what their thoughts are, and perhaps I will be able to add something. Let's do it.
This is a topic that I myself have pretty little knowledge on. It's also something that I don't see quite a lot of information about. I like to be very transparent with you guys. I like to talk about what's going on in my life in the hopes that somebody else relates. And so today I am going to be going into the intricacies and the difficulties of dating as someone who is autistic. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Elena and I was diagnosed with autism at age 25. To give you a bit of backstory about me and my dating life, I was pretty late to the party in terms of the friends that I was around. I was 17 when I had my first kiss, and actually it was something that I actually didn't really want to have at that point. I think it was something that I know a lot of us relate to. We felt like we had to kind of get it over and done with. Do I regret it? No. But did I especially crave it, want it, need it? Absolutely not. My first serious relationship was at 19 years old.
I think I was like 10. I mean, I don't know what qualifies as a first kiss. So I was a bit of a ladies' man as a toddler, kindergarten age. Yeah, I'm not sure. It was younger than 17 though, that's for sure.
Years old, and it was with somebody who I was very much attracted to, but was there much chemistry? Probably not. But I think, you know, we've all had those kind of experiences. I was definitely somebody who questioned her sexuality, mainly because I wasn't actually attracted to the boys at my school. I didn't crave them, need them, kind of like my friends spoke about boys and sex and all of that stuff. I was like, I'm pretty content with not having anybody touch me. I wondered if I was gay, I wondered if I was asexual, and then I kind of just fell into my first relationship. I've been in a few relationships in my life, and I would say when it comes to intimacy and sex, I've never really felt kind of present in the moment with that person. I think as girls, like, we talk to our friends and we kind of gauge how each other's love lives are going. You know, that's a big point of conversation, particularly in the friendships that I've had. Hearing how my friends spoke about sex and relationships and love and intimacy and all that juicy stuff, I could never relate. I again felt like, I've said this before so many times, but I've always felt as though the cord from my head to my heart has been cut. And
I believe that is potentially something related to alexithymia, and that is an experience that I am very aware of, definitely. I also went through a bit of a phase thinking that I was asexual as well. Interesting. I think that was mostly related to the antidepressants that I was on at the time. Yeah, I think the alexithymia can definitely be something there, perhaps dissociation. I know that the thing is with a lot of intimacy, well, obviously if the person and yourself have a lot of direct communication about stuff, and you sort of, you know, ask each other, and you don't feel awkward about like speaking at all, sort of within it, I think it's fine. But a lot of people do kind of report feeling a bit awkward about like even talking about it, even outside of that. So it's kind of I can imagine for some people, you know, you've got to read indirect communication quite a lot, and if you struggle with that, it can just make the whole experience very nerve-wracking because you don't really know and such. The alexithymia for sure, big thing. Not being able to sort of identify and categorize how you're feeling. I actually made a video about sort of my split brain. I've also made an alexithymia video recently. Basically that, you know, feeling like I'm sort of got two separate parts of my brain. One's the logical, one's the emotional, and there's not as many links of perception between those two parts. It's only when I got into my early adulthood that I learned about alexithymia, but I identify with that a lot, for sure.
I questioned, why the fuck am I engaging in this when this feels like I'm just here to please somebody else? The funny part about all of this is I have been extremely hard on myself when I've never relaxed into intimate moments with somebody, and I've often wondered why I couldn't relax, why I couldn't just be in the moment, allow myself my true emotions in that moment. But what I've come to realize is so much of my life is masked that why would intimacy be any different?
Yeah.
Why would I suddenly then, in that one singular moment, know how to let my guard down, know how to let somebody in, know how to let somebody see the real me? It just doesn't happen.
No, I think that's a big part. I think as well, like, if you don't communicate a lot about it, the indirectness of the whole thing can lead to you not feeling very comfortable. You feel like you can't talk, like you can't talk about it. It's kind of like this thing, you know, that just people feel very uncomfortable about speaking on, and I don't think that's good. Especially if you're autistic and you struggle with those indirect communication signs, for sure. When people complained about my eye contact and staring off while I'm deep in thought, it messed with my head.
The sad part and the really unfortunate part about having an autistic brain and dating is we are more predisposed to getting into abusive, manipulative situations. And that can be for a number of reasons. I think the
Especially
first one is
women.
We understand pain. We understand the hardships of life. We can so easily cast empathy onto somebody before we see the red flags. I know for me, I was in a heavily abusive relationship that I actually documented on my other channel. If you want to go watch that, I will link it down below, but please keep in mind I was a lot younger and I was also undiagnosed at this point. But in this video, I talk about this guy at the beginning of our relationship actively cheating on me with his ex, actively engaging in romantic conversation with her, and when I find out about it, when I question him about it, he breaks down crying, saying that he believes she's going to end her life and he feels...
Yeah, that's one of the things, isn't it? It's like performative crying, performative, getting upset. You've done something, they've done something wrong, and so in order to sort of offset the anger and upset that you feel towards them, they get very, very upset and sort of spark feelings of empathy for how they're feeling at that time. It's a very manipulative thing to do. Like, a lot of people do it. It's just not good.
Feels responsible to keep her alive. Oh my god, I also understand what that feels like. I understand what it means to help somebody. I also know what it means to be the person who wants to end their life. So what a good person you are, I understand. Unfortunately, I am a very trusting person, a very naive person, and all I have is words. I often don't see red flags. And I'm
see. That's another really good thing that they're talking about. The hyper focusing on the words, because I don't think it's necessarily a logical thing. I think for me, when I was growing up, just in general, I find a lot of comfort in words, like direct words. If it's one of the reasons why I don't necessarily get on with people who aren't so direct and upfront, because they tend to communicate what they mean and how they feel, but it's not direct. It comes alongside direct communication, and it's congealed into like one thing to be explained. If that makes sense. So you really want that sense of certainty with someone that you're very close to, and you don't want to have to do that, and you sort of perhaps may ignore the things that they've done or the things that they have alluded to for the direct communication, because you just really want that to be the communication, the truth, because it feels a sense of certainty around it. But sadly, people do take advantage of that, for sure. It's unfortunate, you got to really vet people, and human beings, they do lie a fair bit, more some more than others, sure. Some for nefarious purposes, some just like white lies or like little lies and stuff here and there. But yeah, people do that. Yes, I trust very easily. I can scan the environment for dangers and threats, assuming people do. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I'm aware of stuff. I'm aware of this indirect stuff because I try to learn it and I understand it. But I just choose to ignore it because it just feels more comfortable to go with the directness, or at least it did. It's not really something that I do nowadays. I'm a little bit more hard on myself to, take into account that other stuff or at least address it. But yeah, if you were someone who just constantly lies to your face about stuff, it's and throws your emotions here and hither, just like, it's difficult. And I think someone mentioned that they do the crying. No, I'm not saying that every time that someone cries because they've done something wrong, it's because they're trying to manipulate you. I'd say that if it's quite consistent and it doesn't lead to them taking accountability for the thing that they did and apologizing, I think that is a bit suspect. But I can imagine that some people have that response, like you just feel embarrassed, you feel shame, and so you cry and stuff. But yeah. You know what I mean.
And I'm sure this is something that a lot of you are able to relate to. I think as well, we have very low self-esteem. A lot of us do when it comes to relationships. Yeah. I know for me, I've often described myself, even before I was diagnosed, I'm going to be too much for somebody. They might like the initial me, but the real me is too much. Or I'm too little of something else. It's either too much or too little. At that point, I think it's sometimes easier to just kind of accept that you're going to kind of end up alone, that people will come and go, but you yourself are going.
I see this replicated a lot, like within the autistic communities. It's a hard one. Like so I know when I was feeling that way about things, it's like nothing that anyone would say. It just kind of feels like, they have these sayings of like, be yourself, you'll find someone eventually in time, and it just kind of feels like something that people say just to like get you out of the face, But I think the middle ground of reasonable, like the reasonable take is to say, okay, it's going to be difficult to find people that perhaps sort of may align with me in that way, but people do. And it's probably a better bet for me to be myself and find those people who do, even if there's not as many people as they would like me as a masked individual, but it's worth it. It's less about, okay, there is no issue, like it's going to be easy, or it's going to be 100% or 100% not. It's just you can't. I don't think it's the right idea to sort of sit idly by and do what you do, especially if you don't tend to be around a lot of people. Like, you can still interact with people, but just manage expectations and just go into any interaction that you have and just see how things go. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't put too much expectations on anything happening or it going really well. And just try and get yourself out there and just see what people are like. But that's I guess it's hard because obviously, like, it's the autism related stuff that's coming in, but it's also the state of like how dating is nowadays, very confrontational to the opposite sort of gender, sex, men towards women, women towards men. You have like content online and TikToks and YouTube videos and people bashing each other and people coming up with crazy psychological tactics to help you find someone, So there's all that going on. And also people are chronically online and very not sort of part of communities where you would just easily sort of run into someone who you fancy and perhaps have a relationship at some point, perhaps be friends first, that old way. So there's those factors as well to consider, but I understand. I think, best advice I can give is just try and go to places where the people that you might like might be, and just try, but just manage expectations and don't get too excited. Oh.
Going going to end up alone. When I visualized myself when I was younger, I actually imagined myself being alone. What that then means is if we come into contact with someone who we believe that we're interpreting accepts us entirely, we can kind of cling on to them, hold on to them for dear life, ignoring red flags, ignoring the, not even red flags, it can just be you're incompatible with somebody, but you're ignoring it, you're choosing to ignore it because the feeling of acceptance is so far and few between. Or you go to the opposite extreme, which is probably something that I did, and choose not to date at all, because at least when you choose to not actively put yourself out there, then you can not be rejected. I am so
Alternatively, you can just manage expectations and get used to it. It's up to you. Like, I'm not going to say it's like it's always going to be just like an easy thing to just like brush off, to invest yourself even for like a day or a few hours or a phone call or like a streak of messaging. But like, it's kind of one of those, it's kind of one of the things, like, you don't have to do it all the time either. You could just do it for like a few months, and then if it gets too much, you can take a break. And it just depends on how much you just want to go out there and try and find someone, you know. You got to manage it alongside other things like work and friendships and family and things like that. But I don't know. I find it quite interesting. It's something that I do want to talk on because, I have been, I have dated, and I have come across probably like a couple of people who are autistic, and it tends to be with those individuals, and also people that I've talked to sort of offline. I've had some like calls with people about it who wanted to get my opinion and all that. But how is it in everything without getting copyright straight? I don't know. It tends to be that the amount of energy and expectations, if that person like sees that you are slightly compatible with them, or you feel good around them. Wait, is there something wrong with this? Oh no, okay. I thought there was some issue with the stream. No, but it's it's the whole scarcity thing, you know, and it's something that I used to do a lot as well, whereby you don't feel like anyone's really going to get you, and you know, and then you come across someone who is quite compatible, and like someone who kind of gets you, and you're both autistic and you kind of vibe with each other a little bit. So even in like the first instance, you know, these couple of individuals that I've talked to, they just get really, really anxiously attached, invested like very, very quickly. Or it's like they're just kind of like trying to force themselves like force me through the process of like, you know, and like asking me to having expectations on calling and messaging just like super quickly off the bat, and me just having to say like, okay, I need to like take a step back. It's just too much. It's too quick. It's too intense, you know. And I get that, because it's the whole scarcity things, and you know, as I said, like I used to be like that very, very much. Don't know if you guys have had the same experience. Not saying that there's you know, that I've never been like that. Like I definitely have had to take a bit of a chill pill and sort of understand everyone's got their own lives, and you know, these things you're supposed to take it a little bit slower. But yeah, I mean, that's happened, and it kind of makes me sad, because I understand why, like where they're coming from with it, but it's just yeah, it just comes across as very intense, and then very self-defeating in that way. Because then, you know, you pick this one person, you're really intense, you had a bad experience, and you're like, oh, okay, every time that I do this, I've had a bad experience. But you know, just trying to put a bit of the brakes on, you should be a bit better, I think. Oh, thank you very much, Crystal, for the super chat. What do you know about the brony community? Have you heard of Mertha? Remember you have the ability to be awesome. Thank you very much. I do not have much experience with that community. I know of it. I've seen some YouTubers talking about it. I very much appreciate the super chat there. It's really nice of you. Thank you, Crystal. Hashtag ability to be awesome. Yeah, pretty much had the same experience with an old friend. I mean, it's not just with dating, it's friendships as well. You know, if you can imagine, like, don't know, you've kind of been isolated for a long time. There's like thinking of me at university, isolated for a large period of time, having no friends, come across someone who I have a good conversation with, like instantly on them. like following them around everywhere, like at an event, or like or like say, do you want to be my friend? And, you know, getting the phone number just really quickly and just like messaging them every day and asking if they want to come hang out for a coffee every couple of days, you know, just no like slow ramping up of communication, or no sort of, you know, it's all me because I just want to get this friendship, this relationship in the bag. Then I can feel comfortable and sort of safe and secure. And it just doesn't work. 'Cause then you don't really get much of an idea of, like, you don't give them space. You don't give them the ability to show that they're interested in having some type of relationship with you, you know, because you got to look for that too. That's an important aspect to it. It doesn't need to be like 100% 50-50, but you've got to get some indicator that they're willing to put effort into you as well. Or else it just remains one-sided and just, yeah. Yes, it can end up being like maybe 57 and still single. I'm sorry to hear that, Russell. Is that a personal choice, or is it just you just haven't come across anyone who's you really vibe with? Friendships are challenging in adulthood period, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that people are busy about, for sure. That's why I really love the Brony community. They're weirdos, don't get me wrong, but I love good, wholesome people. That's good. I'm glad to hear it. Biggest value is knowing going an eye for an eye is insanity. Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, setting boundaries and stuff very important for relationships and such, but I mean, let's continue because I'm talking a lot.
I'm somebody previously in relationships, I feel big emotion. I think that this is perhaps neurodivergent thing. Our
Scarcity, anxious
emotions are
attachment.
big. Just as much as we have like sensory overload and like everything is so sensitive to us, so is emotion, so is excitement and love and the joy. It's so consuming, even just for the neurotypical brain, but for a neurodivergent brain, like if you know, you know. We can daydream pretty much off the bat about our relationship to that person, what the potential could be with that person, and just get swept up in the potential, the future, that the actual present hasn't even happened. They haven't even proven themselves. And I think this
Yes, they haven't even proven themselves. Like, you're not going off a lot of data. There's another thing. That's another reason to take it slower, because you do really want to, like, even if you have a good first impression, a good conversation, you know, it's just one conversation. People experience a range of different emotions and states of mind. And, you know, some people, as you start talking to them, you realize that they're not kind of the person that you thought they were. 100% nearly knocked over my glass then.
can lead to some heavy letdowns. But I think as well, it's a drug. You get such a great hit of dopamine when the person actually gives you just a little sprinkle of exactly what it is that you want. And I think what can happen here, and what has happened to me in the past, is that when they do show up just in the tiniest little way, when they do give me just a little bit of what I want, I then translate that excitement, that dopamine, into love. And that's when we get into a place called limerence. What is limerence, you ask? Or maybe you didn't, maybe you already know. Let me look it up, because Google can tell you better than I can. Limerence involves an obsessive infatuation with a specific person. This individual's feelings toward the person with limerence are typically unclear. This can cause the individual with limerence to obsess over how that person feels. It's basically being obsessively infatuated with somebody, just an intense desire for a romantic connection with the person.
Just straight off the bat. Yeah. The thing is, like, I mean, they were saying that they had their first kiss when they were 17. I think, you know, I was probably, I mean, it wasn't like proper relationships, but I was, you know, sort of dating in my friend groups and stuff in secondary school, you know, not very successfully, but, you know, I had relationships probably since, my first big relationship started at the age of 14, you know, probably 13 actually, maybe. My first proper long-term relationship. And I do think that it is partially something that you kind of learn, I guess, because I mean, love and relationships are very romanticized and sort of idealistic, and you know, it's hard to really grasp with the thought of, you know, things going wrong and things like that. So I imagine that if they had the first kiss at 17, you know, they probably haven't had that much experience at that time with relationships. And so, you know, I can imagine me, I mean, 100% me, when I was like, I don't know, like 12, just dating this one girl in my friend group for like 2 days. And then like, actually like the world was collapsing because they broke up with me after 2 days. You know, but I think over time you sort of, you know, you combine reality with this sort of romanticized idea of what it's going to be like together, and it's become a bit more chill about it. But I don't think that it's particularly just an autistic thing. I don't think it's an autistic thing. I think it can just be, you know, perhaps a result of the negative experiences that and people that we can get into relationships and friendships with, but also perhaps that's I mean, there's a lot of things, neurocognitive differences and such. I mean, it's a difficult one, but I wouldn't say that the whole limerence sort of anxious attachment style is something that's just an autistic thing. You know, I know a lot of autistic people who are very avoidant in nature and like completely opposite. For sure.
The person and like kind of getting lost in the fantasy world. I often go to Reddit when I'm first learning about something, and Reddit is definitely a place that I go to when learning about autism and just like different people's perspectives on things. And I really feel like this person did such a great job with identifying the difficulties of dating, relationships, and autism. So this person states, women with ASD and ADHD are way more susceptible to experiencing limerence in my opinion. Most, if not all of us, have experienced years of social rejection and isolation since childhood, which greatly impacts attachment style and how someone would function in a relationship, whether it be platonic or romantic. I've experienced a lot of limerence and anxieties around my attachments, particularly romantic, but fear not, this is something that can be changed with therapy, motivation, and the use of self-soothing techniques.
I think as well, it can be really helped with experience. I'm not just saying having lots of relationships, but just experience with people, particularly after those adolescent times when you're out of school. I think we can be sort of primed to view people, life, our dating pool or whatever in a very negative light because of the issues that we've had in school, but it's not. You know, it's usually not reflective of that. Like, sure, there are people out there who aren't, you know, the best and such, but, you know, put yourself in the right places, in the right environments. You know, you quickly sort of gather more information, more data that sort of offsets that negative view. And once you do that just a little bit, it removes some of that sort of scarcity, like, feeling, that sort of need to attach to anyone who gives you any sort of validation for who you are and any sort of, you know, hope for connection and stuff. Because the you know, as much as it may seem like I'm just shooting in the dark, but there are also good people out there who are not autistic and who, you know, you can talk to and develop a really good connection with and such. It's very complex indeed, Isabella, but it's, I mean, I think that's a big thing, you know, gathering more data, trying to develop a bit more confidence, sort of understand and process negative experiences that you've had with people. Try to get some learning things from it, but don't let it kind of hold you back, and don't let it sort of warp your reality into thinking that there's going to be like only a few people, like 5 people in the world who will really get you and really understand you and really like you. Because it's not true. It's just not. Like you said, you're silly to think that. That's statistically very silly.
Increased confidence and security in one's own self also greatly factors into it. I thought this was such a great perspective because they're also talking about attachment style.
Authenticity.
If you guys don't know what your attachment style is, I will link a quiz down below. I don't know, sometimes quizzes can be helpful. For me, I have an anxious attachment primarily, which is actually something that kind of came out of the woodwork. I always believed that I was very avoidant because I was kind of, you can't hurt me, I'm going to leave first. But I realize now that it's very much rooted in an anxious attachment, because when I do like somebody, when I do actually allow those feelings to come in, like I am prone to obsessing over whether they like me or not, really needing the validation. Keep in mind, I've done a lot of therapy and I'm now at a place where I have a lot of understanding over myself and my reactions, and I know how to emotionally regulate myself and self-soothe. I also just want to...
I think a lot of people would love validation of that sense. Like, definitely like nothing different about wanting that. Like, if you like someone, it's nice to know that they like you do, or like validate you in the same way, you know. Of course, everyone feels like that, but it's just being aware that pushing for that to a lot of people can come across very intense, especially if it's very early on, you know. I like the tattoos. It's very nice. Her editing is lol. I do enjoy it. It's good.
I just wanted to really quickly share this person's statement that's also come from Reddit, and they say, when I care about someone, I care about them all the way, which usually means I get hurt. Being able to medium care about someone instead of the all or nothing vibe would be nice. That sums me up, basically.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with, like, I mean, probably if like you just jump straight in and you're just like obsessed and infatuated and doing limerence and all that, I get that, but it's forcing people to like do what you want them to do to make you feel better about the whatever you have with that person. Like, you need to talk to me this time. Why aren't you talking to me in this amount of time? Why aren't you saying anything nice or complimenting me in this way? Like, do you not like me? You know, going on and sort of... Every time I take an attachment style quiz, I get a different answer. Interesting. Shall I do one? I might do it after this. We'll see what my attachment style is like. I'm pretty sure I'm avoidant. I used to be very, very anxious attachment, which is why I understand this stuff. Yeah, I've been jaded by my experience in life, I suppose. But I'm trying to work on it, actually, to be honest. Trying to get a bit more to a healthy attachment style. It's difficult though. You know, got to catch myself.
The black and white thinking when it comes to emotions, it's like, I don't give an absolute shit about you, or I would fucking die for you. And learning how to be in the grey, because you have to be in the grey when you're dating someone at the beginning. It's uncertain. You know, you both have to see whether you like each other. Like, that's... it's so hard. It's so tricky. Dating and relationships, some of the...
My attachment style is analog stereo. I don't think I could medium care about someone in my life depended on it. I'm quiet about it though. Sarah says, I tend to look to see if an individual would be a safe person to have a relationship with. My experience is very few people have the values to be safe. Yeah, I think that's a good. You got an 8mm jack.
Some of the hardest things that I've come across. Like, I know how to regulate myself. I know how to work me, but like, add another person in there and I just like, fuck, I don't know how to process it. I'm giving you guys kind of a lot of information in this video just because like all of these terms are something that I've had to go away and like learn about myself. So if I can kind of condense all the terms that I know into one, like, I hope it helps. But I pretty much wrote here, I think understanding limerence and attachment style is the first step in understanding 100%. What a healthy relationship could be with someone, if that is what you want. I think primarily number one comes...
I think the first step would be gather a larger sample size. Try and unmask. That would be the first step. But in terms of this, yeah, learning about attachment styles, just general relationship stuff, I think, even if it's just like little bits here and there, I think is important. And I'm not talking about like game related stuff from either side. I mean, just like relationship psychologist, you know, just giving like a basic overview. I think that can be quite useful. You know, you can think about that in comparison to situations that you've had in the past, or perhaps situations that you're going through at the moment and emotions that you're feeling. It can be very useful to get like a little bit more information. Even if it's not for autistic people, it'll still be quite applicable.
Comes yourself. You've got to feel confident in yourself. You've got to make sure that you accept yourself and that you're not trying to find acceptance in another person.
Love yourself,
but of course,
boo.
you know, that's like step one. But yeah, understanding limerence and attachment style, if you've got a neurospicy brain like myself, understanding these things could be very valuable to your dating life. And the really cool part about where I'm at in life now is I have moved to Toronto. I've made this move to a new country, and I'm now in a place where these social confines, these dating expectations no longer have me boxed in. I'm now in a place where I'm living a lot more fluid with myself and allowing life to show me what works for me and what doesn't, instead of believing that I need to date, then a relationship, then marriage, then kids. I think it's just about allowing you to be your own individual and not let the world and society and your parents and friends dictate where you should be in life. So with that, I'm going to end that there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and if you'd like to see more content by me, I'll leave a link down below to all of my social medias, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye. Oh,
she was on with Orion. I see. I thought I recognized her face. Very good video. Please go check out Elena Carroll. Give a subscribe. Drop the video a like. It's in the description as per usual. And hope you have a good evening. And it's been beneficial tonight, evening.